Well, who to thank it? VP absolutely bottled it. I don't know what's going on with this team, how they can look so good at EWC, they go to Blast, and then suddenly they look like they did before the player break, where there's this lack of synergy and it just feels like something is just not working properly. Really disappointing for them. I tried to do an anti-Na'Vi draft, and it turns out the team to go was Liquid. Now, I don't pick teams in their debut, so it's not like I would have picked them, so I don't feel bad about it. Actually, I'm really happy because I'm a big JKS fan, so I'm really excited to see how Liquid do going forward. It was a really cool debut, so keen to keep an eye on them. But I think for me in my drafts, now that I've had two kind of rough results, like this one was kind of salvaged by my other three players, but still not great. When I'm taking risks, I might only do it with a single player rather than doubling up. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the Cologne play-ins. Format is the same as past Cologne play-ins, except now we have opening best of 3, so eliminates some of the randomness, which is very good. If you win your upper quarterfinals game, you get a round of padding. If you lose the opening round, you verse the adjacent loser. And if you lose the upper quarterfinals, you play the winner of the loser from the opposite side. So if you look at last play-in, you can see NIP lost his upper quarterfinals game, so they played against Imperial, who were the winner of the losing game there. Makes sense. In terms of the expectations, this should be Complexity versus Eternal Fire. Falcons, very hit or miss. They could win this, but recent form from Eternal Fire and also matchup history points in Eternal Fire's favor. I think Complexity actually win that overall, even though they're a very up and down team. I think Heroic, even with the stand-in, should be MIBR just based on recent form, and I think Warrior is a good stand-in. And I think this should be 9Z, but 3D Max come in off the back of winning Sky Sports Championship, so it could be a potential upset team. And then that's a very close matchup between Heroic and 9Z. Probably give it to 9Z, but could be Heroic. This should be Furia. We've got a new look Imperial with Try instead of Henny, so expectations are kind of all over the place for this team, whereas Furia, I expect to be here. Most people will be backing Liquid. They'll be very high on Liquid stock. But I want to make my case. I think paiN are going to win this. paiN are a massive underdog team here that people are going to be sleeping on like they always do. But take a look at their recent results. Win after win after win since the player break ended. They are on a 14-match win streak. Now, I know it's in South America, but this recent run of form, this is a team that I think definitely could be the dark horse. And so I would strongly consider drafting them here because I think they can win this whole section. I think FlyQuest could beat Big, but unfortunately, because it's Cologne, I give Big a little bit of an edge, and so Big end up here. Should be Mongols that face them there, and normally Mongols should be winning that, but there is a small chance it could be Big just because of the Cologne factor. So keep that in mind, but that's my 2 cents on who I think is going to be making it through. So for Liquid, I don't think there's a bad choice here. JKS and Yukinda are the 2 most popular picks. Ultimate's in the top 8. Everyone's been picking Liquid, so keep that in mind when you're drafting. Do you want to go down the train of Liquid with everybody else, or do you want to think outside the box? Your call. But yeah, not really a bad choice if you're going in on Liquid. They're all good in different ways. Heroic, I don't think you go into a gold here because of the stand-in situation, but Kixon remains an incredible value pick, and I'd probably pair him with Shush if you're going double on this team. For the Mongols, again, I don't think there's bad choices here. The only one I'd maybe urge against is Senzu. I'd probably go Blitz over him just for that 11,000 difference. I think Blitz's recent form has been quite good, and it's not really worth that 11k. But I think 910 is still pretty good just for the role activation over Blitz. The Complexity, I think that the only player I'd be avoiding here is Grim, just because his recent form wasn't the best, and Floppy actually looked quite good at Blast. So for that 6k, I'd just go down the Floppy, but the other 4 are all good for different reasons, depending on what your draft is looking for and how much you want to invest in this team. Obviously, Elige is going to be a superstar, and if you are going hard on Complexity, I go Elige JT. For 9Z, I think the best value player is Wazo Peak. I definitely wouldn't get DGT. I'd maybe get Martinez if you really believe in this team, but Wazo Peak's a nice little dip. Falcons, Snappy's quite good value. This guy has some really good roles of eco-friendly and is really cheap. Magisk is also very cheap and in the top most picked players because he had a great event at Blast, so going those 2 gives you a lot of money that you can spend elsewhere. But remember, they have a tough group, so they could be really difficult to pick into. Furia, I think you're looking at Fallen and Cello. I think Quesarado is way too expensive, and I don't think you'd pick Yuri and Skulls when there's other players for the same price from better teams. Eternal Fire, speaking of other players, Woxic for 2k more than Yuri, great choice. Him and Maja, really good form at Sky Sports, so I think they're the two I'd go. Wakadia, if you don't want to invest that much into this team, but his recent form wasn't the best, which is why Woxic feels like a really good choice. 3D Max are interesting just because I think they inherited the pricing of BetBoom, so Gravity is ridiculously cheap. I think that he's a really interesting player to get if you really want to go something out of the box. Just a little dip into Gravity, then you can get 4 players from really good teams without needing to break the bank. So I think he's really interesting because of that. For big, I think the only players I'd avoid are Rigon and JDC because Krimbo is the same price as JDC. Sisson and Tabson are both cheap, so it depends how you want to build your big team, but all 3 I think are really good value for money. I'm not really interested in MIBR here, to be honest. Brenson maybe, if you really want to get a budget pick here, but I just don't see them getting through. FlyQuest, similar. I think Dexter is okay value. Vexite's good value, but this team has a very difficult run. paiN, this is what I've been waiting for. This is the team that I told you is my dark horse, and the player to pick is Lux. If you take a look at his recent performance since coming back from the play break, he has been the second best performer outside NQZ, but the whole squad's been popping off. So I don't think there's necessarily bad players to choose from this team right now. And if you're going underdog, go Lux, go Snow, and you'll be sitting pretty. Scared to go Saw with their group, with Mongols as their opener. I'm not rating Imperial right now, and alternate attacks, wouldn't be drafting them. So for my draft, I don't want to pick Liquid because I think they have a tough group and they're also very overpicked. So much like with Na'Vi, I'm going to go a bit against the grain and avoid Liquid here. So I'm going to pick players from the 2 teams that I think have the easiest opening game and also have a good chance of topping their group. So we'll start with Mongols, and I'm going to get 910 as my heavy hitter, and then I'm going to get Techno. I think he's really good value for money, and he has really good activation and headshot machine, so rolls are great on both these players. I'm then going to be going in on Complexity. I'd love to get a Liege, but he's a little bit too expensive, unfortunately, so I'm going to go Holzek, and I'm going to go Floppy. I've already said that I think Floppy is better value than Grim for this event. Holzek has a chance to go really high performing, so I feel that I've got some decent players here that can really benefit from these easy opening games. Lazy at 185, and because I'm going anti-liquid, I of course need to pick into my little secret sauce, my secret formula, paiN. It's going to be Snow. I'm not going to go over zealous on paiN. I'm not 100% confident. I just like their recent form. I think Snow is great value for this price point. And if paiN come in playing like they've been in South America, they could definitely top their group. And if paiN beat Liquid in that opening game, I've won. Like this is a killer draft. So that's going to be my draft. Mostly Mongols, mostly Complexity, a little bit of paiN sprinkled in. So let me know what you're doing. Let me know how you did in Blast. And as always, good luck.